Ladies and
Mesdames et Messieurs,
Leaders Forum, we're delighted to have you with us, and we are extremely honored by our guest today and our speaker today, that he has come here during the busy schedule of the United Nations General Assembly. I'm Jeff Sachs. I'm director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, and very proud to have a team of sustainable development experts
d'avoir une équipe de développement durable qui travaille avec le gouvernement de Guinée.
Solution to the big challenges that you're going to hear about. Our guest today, of course, is President Alpha Condé, the newly elected first democratic leader of Guinea. This is a We have with us an individual who has fought for more than half a century for democracy in his country, first the struggle for independence from colonial rule, and then a decades-long and heroic struggle for democracy in Guinea. And as you know, that long struggle proved to be victorious finally last year in Guinea's first democratic multi-party election, which President Conde won in November 2010, and thereby capping more than 50 years of effort for that goal. The country that the President has is now able to lead is, of course, a country with profound challenges. 50 years of misrule and mismanagement and authoritarianism and lots of military upheaval has left Guinea one of the poorest countries in the world, as I'm sure you know and as I'm sure we'll hear about. A country of 10 million people with vast resources, but vast poverty is the reality that President Conde confronted as he came to office. So we're going to hear an extremely exciting story by a great fighter for democracy and a person of enormous vision. We're also delighted to have with us today Ambassador Mamadi Touré, who is the permanent representative of the Republic of Guinea to the United Nations. And I understand also we have the seniors from the Brooklyn International High School. Are they here? Raise your hands. All right. Half of the seniors are from Guinea, Mr. President, and studying in Brooklyn International High School. Thank you for being here. We're really happy that you're here. So without further ado, let me express my tremendous satisfaction and great joy that President Conde is here as Guinea's first democratic president, and that he is honoring us today with introducing the Columbia community and the broader New York City community to the challenges of Guinea as Guinea embarks on its democratic path. Mr. President, thank you so much for being here.
D'abord, je dois vous dire tout le président. J'ai été président de l'ensemble des étudiants africains en France. Ensuite, je suis devenu professeur.
Mr. Stack, I don't want to talk to you from the emotional part of me. I don't want to speak in an emotional way. You are the youth, and I am here to represent another face of Africa. And this is a face of Africa that you don't read about in the newspapers when it's about civil wars, AIDS, to tuberculosis, war, that presents you Africa.
Les journaux ne s'intéressent qu'à ce qui est spectaculaire. On parle beaucoup de guerre civile dans tel pays, on parle du dévastage du sida.
AIDS. But there's another Africa, and that's the Africa I want to talk to you about. 70% of this population of that part of Africa has less than 30 years of age. That's the people I want to talk to you about. The dictatorship that we had were misinforming. They had a lot of misinformation, but with the new technologies and the development of the network of information, the people from my little village receive the information at the same time that you receive them. Therefore, information is the beginning of how can I say, the end of the dictatorships. We have in Africa businessmen, people with education, and Africa that is following the example of China. But in some years, Africa will be more powerful than China, and Africa has the 2/3 of the basic commodities of the world. But we are not going to insist on that aspect. Why are we so backward? And I think it was the Civil War. It's very simple. The Civil War, it was to take the diamonds, but the women in Africa, they don't wear the diamonds. Who wears the diamonds is the European and the United States women. And then the other problem was the total absence of democratic elections. When a dictatorship is organizing the elections, it systematically frauded. The opposition doesn't have any other resources than abide. Therefore, the most important thing is to eliminate that scourge. The Civil War permits to the arms dealers to sell their weapons. They sell the weapons for the rebels. They sell the weapons for the governments who want to defeat the rebels. Basically, the other governments that are sustaining, that are supporting the dictatorships. And I remember a speech of an old ambassador of the United States in Guinea. We said that there's no democracy if there's no democratic development and economic development. We need a unified school. What is important is the democracy. The second argument that we presented is that Africa needs stability. Therefore, we have to avoid changes of regime. Therefore, the dictatorship were sustained, supported. It's only in 1990, after the collapse of the Berlin Wall, that we started promoting democracy in other countries. And I think it was the collapse of the Berlin Wall what gave us the possibility of acceding into democracy. But we have a lot of Occidental powers. We want to establish an international network. Mr. Diadema has intervened with the presence of the President of Senegal, Abdou Diouf, the Minister of Government, allowed Diadema to destroy the democratic government that has been put in place at that time. However, with the evolution in the world, everybody started understanding that Africa cannot stay on the side of the evolution of history in the world. But the Occidental countries and the democracy is a vision of different geographies. Sometimes they close their eyes about dictatorship. But there are other states like Mugabe and others. What we reproach to some of the heads of states is that they are not giving to the people what they have extreme need for. I listened to Mr. Obama that made a trip to Africa, to Accra, and he said that we need a solid institution. He spoke with Ben Ali, the dictator, but I'm in politics for 50 years. Ben Ali was the protected person for the Occidental democracies. So if you are a head of state in Africa, the economy doesn't have friends. Yesterday, they were accepting Ben Ali, but I said in Paris that it is not the springtime, the Arab springtime, it is the African springtime. The democracy is in the hands of the young people. They have nothing to lose. They have everything to win. But people said in Bamako in Guinea, why don't we do what the Tunisian people have done? The woman would say to the husband, you don't have courage. Look what happened in Tunisia. Every day, there's more people on the streets. People have intervened in Libya. There was a humanitarian action. We were against Sarkozy's foreign intervention in Africa. It's the African people who is going to solve the problem of democracy. In Egypt, it was different. It was a popular movement that was opposing the dictatorship. In Libya, it was the armed forces, an armed group that was opposed. In Tunisia, it was the same thing. It was the population. In Syria, it's a popular movement. But in Libya, it was a royalist group that were the friends of the royal family. It corresponds to the African Union to solve the problem in Libya. But we cannot compare that with Syria. In Syria, people are massacred every day. I would like you to have another image. We cannot speak about democracy as a unique thing. It is not the same thing for every country of the third world. We see, therefore, what I am interested in is not to talk about my life. It's to speak about Africa, today's Africa, and tomorrow's Africa. If you're interested, what is going to happen to the young people in Africa? If it is going to be those people are going to be condemned to live in misery, or the whole of Africa is going to shed the chains. I was surprised of the extraordinary capacity of China today. It's a wonderful society. But what do they have more than we have? They have the rigor. They have the sense of work. Are we not capable of rigor? The Chinese are working 24 hours, every 24 hours. But I say to the Guineans, if you want to advance, you have to do the same. I have imposed also that certain areas should work 24 hours per day. But we have less circulation of money. We cannot pay salaries of 24 hours, 7. But we're looking at the American youth and the African youth. We have more young people than China. We are starting now. We are starting now. We're at the moment where the regime is very advanced. Before, we have computers that were big as a room. Now, it's totally different. Look at the telephone. We used to have cables and stuff. Today, we have a tiny little thing. Therefore, there is an acceleration of history, which means that our development is going to be accelerated too. But we have a very serious thing to consider to the Germans. Give us a little more time. You are an economy that is based on production. It's not a financial, but it's not the industrials who are making money now. It's the financial people. But we are a pre-industrial country. What do you do with a pre-industrial economy? You have to change the culture. You have to get out of agriculture. But the war against the British, what was it? It was a war of resources. France wanted to build production. It was protectionist. I was in Paris. There was a financing of the economy. They have presented civil servants that were in charge, but we are never talking about firing civil servants in France. But if we fire certain of the civil workers in my country, there's going to be a much better situation. We know what are the problems of the economy. What is happening? They are not telling you exactly what is happening in the structure. We are talking about budgets. They are talking about money. It's a problem that is a systematic problem. It's a problem of the system. But it's very difficult to finance the new investments, the development.
The development of investment will give us an excess budget. This is how we must see Africa. It's not the problem of work. Africa needs to have its own political vision. We must have men of courage who say, no, this is the route and what we're supposed to follow. Unless we have this independence and as long as we are following what is dictated to us, we will not succeed. That's what I wanted to tell you. I don't want to talk to you about Guinea. I want us to discuss about Africa and the future of Africa. For me, it's very optimistic. I know that it's not going well. I'm talking about West Africa and Cape Verde. Elections, democratic elections in Ghana, in Cape Verde, in Benin, in Niger, in Bamako, in Guinea, in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in Guinea-Bissau. Years ago, these were dictatorships. How many military regimes are still there? Of course, we have still problems in Africa, and Africa is going through a lot of progress. I want to speak to you about a new Africa that you don't know. You don't know it because you don't hear about it. It's not the Africa of multinational corporation, but Africa in movement that wants to change and that wants to change through the next generations. This is what I wanted to tell you, and I wanted to discuss with you. Thank you very much.
First of all, let me thank President Alpha Condé. I would like to add my voice and the voice of the Institute of African Studies on welcoming the President of Guinea, but also on welcoming you at this World Leaders Forum event. My name is Mamadou Diouf. I'm a professor of African Studies with the Middle East, South Asia and African Studies and the Department of History. I also direct the Institute of African Studies. What I would like to do very quickly after this very important keynote address by the President of Guinea inviting us to jump into the discussion, the future, the present and the future of Africa. I would like to take this precisely opportunity given to us to engage directly with him. So I think all the students, they know the rule of the game. You have to step forward to one of the mic, ask your question, be very brief and precise in order to have really a deep discussion. So thank you very much for coming. So I will begin in this side and give you the mic. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a student in the School of General Studies. Mr. President, as your country was ruled by the dictatorship for about 50 years, and as you were in prison, and as you struggled for democracy, you faced many challenges. And I'm just very curious, what kept you going? What motivated you? What got you to motivate other people to strive towards democracy? What kept you living each of those days when you were in prison and facing that struggle?
Yeah. No pouvez répondre. I need a mic. What is it? Yeah. Sorry.
Bon, je pense que
I think, you know, all people are for democracy, and the African peoples, like the Guinean people, very nationalistic country, population. You're young, you don't know the history. In 1958, Guinea was the only French colony that voted for independence. At that time, there was a will in Guinea to liberate itself, to free itself. However, freedom did not bring about its fruits at that point. There is ignorance. Everybody wants independence, but ignorance is what stands in the way. The advantage that we have today is the development of telecommunications, radio, television. I'll take you, for example. You can compare America to Africa to China and to Europe. So you have a means of comparison. You have a way to compare. Africans want to live like other countries. They have good schools and to have good education. Now they are ready. They are more ready. They are not ready to accept misery and non-independence because they know they can get better. But when you ignore, when they don't know what's happening, you don't know what you can get. When you see that people in the United States and Europe can live better, you start to have a will or to want to get better.
And I would like just to let you know that you can ask your question in English or in French. Translation is available.
Thank you for speaking, President. As a fellow Guinean, I am very proud that you are here to raise the awareness about our country. I have a question. Before you were elected, there was violence against the Fulani people and corruption. How do you plan to change that?
mais c'est ce que j'ai dit.
This is what I said. The press and internet. What is the situation in Guinea? I want you to know. What is the reality? We led a campaign for the purification of everything. Democracy is not for this one or this one. You can be a president. It doesn't matter where you come from and what is your ethnicity. So democracy is not against all ethnicities. It's for all ethnicities. Everybody has seen it. This president or that president closed stores. So if you don't want to buy products, if you don't want to lose the opportunity to buy products, you keep them in the fridge. So when you close stores, you cause famine in the population. What happened after the first round? Everybody said no. The others said no. This is not a question of Alpha. This is a question of defending the Republic. They want to impose their point of view on us, so we cannot. We should look at everything not in a lopsided way. They used to use the politics of fear by saying if you're not for the president, you're for terrorism. This is a politics of fear. I fought for 50 years. I was condemned to death. However, we have to reestablish reality. There's no violence against this ethnicity or the other, or the Fulanis or others. There's a violence against everyone who uses and who wants to say no to the government. I don't have anything against traders, against the businessmen, as long as they pay their taxes. I told them that. They told us, you have to come to us. I am the president, and I will come to you. So I asked to meet with them, to meet with a committee of the wise amongst them. They came from the jungle of Higher Guinea, and they came and they met with the wise men from Futa. I said that Guinea is like a vehicle with 4 wheels. If you take down one wheel, take off one wheel, it's not going to work. However, we must have a credible program that uses reason and logic and subjective arguments that does not pin Muslims against Christians or Christians against Muslims or this group against. And I think the youth, the youth, students of the university, you must have a critical mind, a critical way of thinking. Do not take for granted for truth what you receive, what they tell you, but look for reality. I fought for democracy in Guinea against Sékou Touré, and he condemned me to death. My goal is that the people of Guinea do not suffer what I had to go through. Do you know this? If in New York, do they consider you Fulani or any other ethnicity? No, they consider you Guineans. This is what I want people to think about and to feel in Guinea. There are many dead people in 85 and 95 in 2007. One dead person is already too many dead people, is already too much. We have to avoid this violence and establish justice. Guinea has to accept its past. 85, it's us. 87, it's us. 97, it's us. 2007, it's us. We were responsible for all these events, and we have to recognize the crimes for which we were responsible. I want to give you more information that in Guinea, there's no persecution against a specific group.
My name is Boubacar Diop.
Je m'appelle Boubacar.
And on behalf of Columbia University alumni and current students, we would like to thank very much to Professor Alpha Condé for his speech. And we are sorry to speak about this on the last minute, but we just want to welcome Professor Alpha Condé in our university, and our suggestion will be to help the Guinean student in order to make connection with Columbia, Yale, New York University, the top universities in US. That's the only suggestion we have. We don't have question, but we would like to encourage Professor Alpha Condé in order to make a very higher connection with the Guinean universities with the US. We would like again to thank him very much for everything he's doing, and we encourage him to do the best he can
He's the president now. He's not a political leader. And we are here to help him in order to implement Guinean policy and democracy. Thank you very much. And again, welcome to Columbia University.
Thank you.
I agree with you, Mr. Bakayo. We want to develop education. We want tomorrow, if there's a professor who leads a course in Colombia, Guinean from Futa and even from the jungle can follow the course like you follow a soccer match. This will take a lot of effort and energy. If we can computerize all universities, and that's what that is my objective. And I said that tomorrow the Guinean students needs to have access to the information, to the courses. When there is a soccer game, you watch the final game at the same time as they watch it in England. So my goal is that tomorrow the Guinean students may have access to the same information, the same courses as they do in France or the United States. Same way as surgeons now carry out operations and they follow these operations in France, in Guinea, or anywhere around the world. This is what our goal is, but we need to have energy for this, and we need to have a program for this, a computer program for this, and secondly, we need to transfer the know-how. We do not have enough laboratories, enough professors. How can we progress when you don't have all these means? You read the newspapers every day. You read economic newspapers all the time, magazines, and 2 or 3 years after that, you're behind everybody else. I send you the question. I send back the questions. How can the Guinean students from outside, the Guineans who are outside, how can they encourage investors to come to Guinea, to invest in Guinea, to invest in the Guinean universities? Because we don't have the means to do it. But Bill Gates can give billions of dollars to Guinea. You must be the ambassadors of Guinea, and you must talk to the foundations and institutions that are responsible for such changes to come and, for example, establish some kind of twin city program with Guinean cities. What I can do is encourage you and facilitate the logistical aspects. However, you must take the initiatives and by encouraging the foundations that are in the United States for medicine, for example, for drugs, and for schools, for example. You need to engage them. Don't be passive as you are. This is your future, not our future. So you do not let yourself be manipulated by political leaders. How can the Guinean youth know about everything that's going on around the world? This is your role. They need to have access to knowledge like you. You must ask your question, what can we do for the youth of Guinea? My name is Patrick Martin-Menard. I'm a student here. You have consecrated a lot of energy since you came into power for reforms. Last week, your mines minister voided an important contract with China, or canceled an important contract with China. I would like to know, did you lead an investigations on the circumstances of cancellation of this contract with China, and will this cancellation affect your relationship with China? This is, as far as I know, I don't know how we can cancel a contract if we did not receive a contract, if we did not sign a contract. We will analyze contracts case by case, on a case-by-case basis. The Minister of Mines could not cancel a contract that has not been signed. We are a democratic country. We respect the law. I'm a law professor. there is a continuity for the government. It doesn't matter what kind of a government you have. You inherit everything that the other government left you with. So you need to analyze to find the real reasons in front of you. Legally, today, we cannot cancel any contract. We can cancel contracts only after having studied them on a case-by-case basis, and we will follow the due process, and we will define our policy so that everybody knows that we will not with someone or against anyone. So this is what we need to do. We need to negotiate contracts in all transparency. Everybody needs to be to be aware about what's going on. So for now, we cannot cancel any contract because we did not even define the framework of a due process or the general rules. So I don't understand. I don't know why and how come the Minister of Mines can have the opportunity or the power to cancel a contract. He doesn't have the power, the authority to do that. The President is the one who has that power and the authority right now. So I would ask the question to the Minister of Mines because I don't know anything about him canceling any contract in Guinea. Here there's no channel that speaks French. There's only English-speaking channels. However, we have to define the rules, the general rules and the due process, but we are determined to make the change happen. We do not want multinational or international corporation to exploit the Guinean people. We want the Guinean people to take advantage of their wealth, even though this could be dangerous or put my life in danger. I was elected, and I was elected for change in Guinea. No matter what the price is, I don't fear anyone, but I respect the law.
Only 15 minutes left. Please be brief.
Bonjour, Professeur Condé. Mon nom c'est...
Professor Conde, my name is Salom Gibate. My question is about Guineans who live outside Guinea, not just in the United States, who want to go back to Guinea to work. On one end, the youth, they have a feeling that they're looking for work that they could not find. However, this is a reality from my point of view. When we go back to Guinea with the diploma, with a degree, and we don't have any connection, and we are disadvantaged if we don't know anyone from the government or if we don't know anyone well placed in the government to get a job if you don't have, even if you have a degree. My question is the following. What real hope do you give this young people who want to go back with a complete project or plan and reassure them that they can find a job without having needing anyone to push them forward really or to help them, and that their qualification is enough to advance forward? The Guineans who are outside of Guinea, Guinea is not what you believe. The people who are outside think that the Guineans inside are against them. I spent 2/3 of my life outside of Guinea. If the Guinean population was against me, I would never have been president. Today, the situation is completely different. You have two different situations. A young person, for example, who comes to Guinea with a project has an opportunity today. I told them that I will do better than Rwanda. No one will ask you. If you come back to Guinea and wants to start a project, you will have the opportunity quickly, within 1 week. So if you want to establish or to have a project, a plan, a business in Guinea, you don't have a problem. But the other problem is if you make $2,000 in the United States, when you go to Guinea, you're only going to make $200. So I asked the International Development Bank to finance such projects, and I told them that there's opportunities equal to those in the United States that can take place in Guinea. So if you come back to Guinea today, my goal is to bring most of the Guineans who live outside, businessmen and others, in several Western cities. Some of them want to come back. Some do not want to come back if we don't have the possibility to offer them a good salary. Today, I'm telling you, you don't have any obstacle in front of you if you want to invest in Guinea. But this is our first battle, is to fight against corruption. If the president is corrupted, the ministers will be corrupted. But if the president is not corrupted, the ministers cannot be corrupted. So I'm telling you, there will be no obstacle. Now, if you want to get a job, you would have to accept the salaries as they are today, not as they are in the United States. But if you want salaries that are similar to the United States, that will have to wait. If you want to come back, I will intervene in front of the ministers to even to help and to guarantee that you have a position and a project.
Okay, dear President, I am in charge of the ministry here. Guinée s'approche un moment historique. C'est le potentiel de ses ressources naturelles, la croissance per capita et tout ça. Hello? Oh, yes, it's here. Well,
Repeat your question, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Your country now is approaching a historical macroeconomic inflection point. It's got extraordinary and vast natural resources, and these could truly lead to extraordinary and sustainable growth in GDP per capita. Could you please discuss your strategy for development of the extractive resource industry and encouragement of foreign direct investment? Merci.
Bon, nous essayons d'avoir un plan, mais nous avons...
We are trying to establish a plan. Before I came here, I had a very good news from a very important economist in my country. He has decided to help us. You know, I am a professor, but I am very modest. When we need help, we recognize it. Right now, we need technical assistance. I don't have any complexes. I don't have any problem in acknowledging, because at some point, we are not capable of doing by ourselves. We have to avoid the corruption. We have to avoid the manipulations. We need an associate. We need somebody who would work with us. When I was in Paris, I said to ATF that we have to go back and start anew. And I recognize the community. I recognize that we have a lack of resources, but we are ready to share the decisions and our riches with our associates. Guinea has to benefit from the experiences of others, but not to copy the experiences of others. We have to adjust it to the needs of our country. Therefore, we're open to discussion. We are open to elaborate a new vision. But our vision could be improved on, and that would help us to advance. I understand also the resolution of the students many times. Je voudrais bien appeler Jeff Sachs pour faire une discussion de qu'est-ce que fait l'Institut de la Terre.
Into the bush from time to time. I don't know where he is. I'm using an African vocabulary to keep it.
I'm so happy to find the Guinean community here and the interests of students. So I wanted to explain just a couple of things about what we're doing and what I think Columbia University can offer in a practical way, and then encourage those who are interested to contact me, and we will follow up. My email address is sachs@columbia.edu, SACHS @columbia.edu. I'm very easy to find. And we are very interested, and I discussed with the President beforehand, expanding whatever support we can through the Earth Institute, which is an institution committed to sustainable development, to effective use of natural resources, to sustainability of the ecology, to improving agricultural potential, and to fighting poverty, hunger, and disease. We have a project called the Millennium Villages, which some of you know, which is operating all around Guinea, but not in Guinea right now, and I would like it to come to Guinea because I think it's an effective way to help in rural development. So our team, which is based in Bamako, Mali, has been visiting Guinea recently on several occasions, and we will continue to have that discussion. We also have a Center on Sustainable Development at Columbia Law School, working on the issues of contracts and transparency in the mining sector and all of the issues that Mr. President faces in a very tough, challenging way each day. And we're very eager to work with him, with Revenue Watch, and with others to help on this set of issues as well. So what I would like to say for those of you who are interested in, while here at Columbia or in the greater community, being engaged in Columbia's support of Guinea, please do contact me, and I will pass along your message to the people working in this project, and they will find effective ways to help you do research assistance or participate in various aspects of this work. And we're very much looking forward to being of whatever support we can right now. I think, as many of you have said, this is a pivotal moment with the strong and determined leadership, and we're committed to doing everything we can from the perspective of this university. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. We have only 5 minutes left. I'm not sure that I will be able to accommodate all of you. As you know, it's very hard to change the agenda of a president. And this president has commitment at 11:20. I'm just telling you, at 11:23, his very close people will come and move him out. So please be brief.
Thank you very much. Mohammed Ademo with Journalism School. First of all, you talked about transition and justice in Guinea, but there are people who are implicated in the massacre that happened 2 years ago, who worked in your government, also continue to be there. How can we make that transition move forward when these people are not brought to justice? Or what has the justice system in Guinea do so far to address that? My real question is, you talked about Africa and making transition from what it used to be in creating Africa of tomorrow. But we're looking at where massive land deals, where people are coming from other places, buying this land for producing food for export, where people in Africa are hungry and always begging for food. And then we're looking at construction and infrastructure, especially where roads are built that does not last more than a decade in some cases. And also, you talked about Libya.
Please, it's okay, fine. No,
so if you could address those questions, thank you.
Yes, my name is Ibrahim. I am a student here at Columbia University, and my question is very simple and short. Since you've taken the Guinean government, can you tell us one economic policy you have taken to address the adverse effects of extractive companies in Guinea? Thank you.
D'abord, je vais répondre. Nous, en Guinée, on ne vend pas de terre.
We are not selling land. We allow them through a contract to establish themselves for exploitation. And they have a permit for export. We We want to avoid juridical scandals. We want to avoid dirty businesses, because Guinea has to start a new path. For instance, the government was selling to the peasants their land very cheaply, and those peasants were selling their land much more expensive to different companies. Well, now they cannot do it anymore. We have to take care of that. Our objective is that Guinea should be economically independent. Justice is as important as oil, and Guinea now has the possibility to have agricultural riches also. So therefore, it's very clear that every mining company has to establish certain schools, certain benefits for the people of Guinea. Nothing is for free, and that should establish a possibility for us for strategic action. In second place, we have to establish the possibility for our students and to increase the production, to modernize the industrial infrastructure. Therefore, it's very clear that we don't want only a group of people to profit from the situation. We need transparency. Everybody has to work decently, and we know. And before they start working with us, they should know exactly what are the conditions, what are the laws they have to abide by, and how they have to behave. I am going to be very fast. I passed by Guinea. I was there to work with students, and I have to recognize the civil society was functioning quite well. I work with those people, and I told them that it is in their hands, it is in their power to make respect the law. And we discuss, we have struggled together, and we're sharing power. We are not here to criticize, we have to work all together. That's what I'm trying to instill. We are going to work together, and that is the only path towards progress. That's the policy that I want to implement. I created a tripartite commission to define the SMIC, that is the unemployment, the retirement, pensions, and all that. I am from Burkina Faso. I want to know why all the economic problems that we have, with all the riches that we have, why do they have so many economic problems? That is a little propaganda that we're doing, that everything was working nicely before. Mankind only can solve the problems that are clearly established and defined. We have to, in order to get out of that situation, we have to define exactly what the problem is. I know that all the heads of state are trying to do the same thing in Africa, but we have to establish a strong currency that is the right of all the people, that if it is a currency of West Africa or if it is going to be in francs, but I want to establish in the African zone, in the West Africa and all that, special currency. We have a lot of currency deposited in France, so we have to receive that back. I am a realist, and I'm independent, and I say clearly what I want to say. I don't want to be pressured by anybody. On est en train d'arriver à la fin, so.
4 people are remaining. I'm going to ask you to have a democratic discussion, 1 second, and pick up 2 or among yourself. I can accommodate two of you.
Soyez gentils, c'est des étudiants, donnez-leur 5 minutes.
Okay, the president is giving you, so I will take all 4.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you, Mr. President.
I was wondering, can you confirm that some of the generals who were involved in the 2009 massacre are working for your administration? And what is the Ghanaian justice system doing to bring them to justice? Thank you.
Okay, let us.
Hi, my name is Esther Nyaga, and I'm originally from Kenya. My question was, in Kenya, we've had issues of government officials getting paid an absurd amount of money while the country is starving. And we recently underwent constitutional changes that prevent that. And my question is, how do you plan on addressing that within Guinea, or is that even an issue in Guinea?
Go ahead.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président. Je m'appelle.
Mr. President, my name is Nasser Diallo. I'm a Guinean press person. It is an honor for us to see you defend Africa and the interests of Africa. However, we worry about what's happening in our country. I will talk about the legislative elections. You have named. You have assigned some people who were favorable to you. You replaced the president of Assini, who was controversial before the elections that led to you to the power. And we did not transfer the competencies and the viewpoints of the Assini. You know that in Guinea it's very difficult to win elections against the president in power. You know that because for a long time, for 5 years, you were facing the president, the incumbent president. It's in 1993 you were supposed to win. However, he was president in 1993, and you had no way to exert power. Today, what gives the opposition the possibility to believe that these elections could be free, democratic, and transparent? Merci.
Vous savez, vous parlez des généraux. Vous savez.
You talk about generals. We just came out of a military regime. It's a fragile situation. What I tell people in the West is that we were going to fight against impunity. Whoever wants to go far must have the means. I demilitarized Conakry. When you came before to Conakry, you saw tanks and you saw military personnel walking around with military weapons. I retired a number of officers, more than for more than 4,000 officers. I'm not Don Quixote. I have to work and see how I can work with the army. I'm a civilian. I don't have any weapons. The Guinean military has this really bad habit of wanting to really subdue the people. Now I'm breaking that habit, but I have to break it slowly. So I must go slowly, take it slowly with the army. I told the oppositions, you are right to act, and you're right to want freedom. The people of Guinea right now want freedom, and I have to have the freedom and the will, and I have to have the means to fight against these people, against the army, and I have to give the means to the people so that they can fight for themselves in a very efficient way. However, we must be realistic. If you want to jump 10 hurdles at the same time, you will not jump any hurdle. If you want to jump, you have to jump hurdle by hurdle. So give me time to take on these hurdles one by one. Talking about Kenya, there was a civil war. Today you have a democratic regime. And in Guinea, we started not the fight against salaries. It's not the problem with salaries. It's the problem with siphoning, with the corruption, with stealing money that is not theirs. People before had accounts. They had public accounts in different banks, and right now we closed all the public accounts, and all the accounts are in the central bank. So a person who is working for the customs, for example, or for the government cannot just take the money whenever he wants. So it's not a question of salaries like in Kenya. So this is what I told you. I told you have misinformation. We did not transfer, we did not transfer the power from Asseni to Mataf. You have to read. There's an agreement between Mataf and Asseni since the elections. This is what I talk about. Misinformation. Secondly, I didn't dissolve in Guinea the municipal councils since 2 years ago. They are no longer legal. However, I dissolved the municipal council of Kata or Farana. So this is what I'm saying. You need to be informed and do not let yourself be intoxicated. What I'm saying, when a mayor investigates and finds loopholes in the management, they have to take action. This is what was done, as a matter of fact, against me. Now I'm using these laws against them, against those people who were corrupted before I came to power. They used the law to say, for example, that whoever led a demonstration is the one who instigates the demonstration that was going to pay for it to be held responsible. So I'm using those laws against them. Dalan was minister for 10 years, and I was in jail for this time. And they know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about to them. I'm telling them I'm a democratic. I told the Asseni that we need to hold elections. However, when they had a non-transparent election, by the elections, they had chaos all over, and they were not following because there was a bad management. So if you follow the information, you're intellectuals, but if you do not really distinguish between the real information and the false information, you're going to be like peasants. What is the credibility of a leader, somebody who led for 10 years in corruption and subduing people? So try to think and to reflect. Forget that you're Maliki or Fulani or Susu. Just use your brain and your logic. And analyze things. You are young, but if you let yourself be intoxicated, you're not going to be doing any favors to yourself or for Africa. I invite you to Guinea. I will pay your ticket to come and see what is happening there. What I'm saying, we want free and transparent elections. In Guinea, there is double or 8 times the imposition, 8 times the taxes. We pay more taxes than anyone else. I said that we have to get rid of these rules and these laws, and we have to give passports to everybody, for example, for free. So I am open to discussion and to critical discussions and to criticizing. But I would like to ask you, do not read misinformation, do not secede, do not give in to misinformation. If you want to really learn about what's happening in Sini. But when you're talking about Asseni and Mataf and the situation that you talked about, this shows that you are misinformed. I am the president, and I don't have any polemic with anyone.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is at the School of General Studies, and talking about the opposition, there is the talk that the opposition leaders, who feel that they have not been listened to enough by the president, are calling on the people to peacefully come out at the end of September and protest some of the reforms that are taking place. I would just like to quickly know what is the president's take on that. Thank you.
Guinea is a democracy, and there is a freedom of demonstration. Freedom of demonstration is one thing, and vandalism is one thing. Breaking things is not tolerable, and I'm clear that democracy must exist within the law. Anyone who brings out people to demonstrate and break, and if those people break the buildings and everything, I'm for freedom, but I'm against chaos. They will be held responsible. The opposition from where? They led and they were working with Panama for 10 years. Where are they? Those people governed with him and they participated in what he did. If they had worked and done this job, Guinea would not have been where it is right now. So you must think those people who did everything with Conde, they are really in bed with Conde. They're responsible for what's going on. How? If they sold their souls for money, how can you sell? How can you sell, for example, how can you sell houses that belong to the state? How can you sell them and take the money yourself? And these people did that. If you want democracy, you have to fight against bad governance, and you cannot do that if you support people who use bad governance as a way of life, actually. You have to really, my friends, there is no ethnicity, specific ethnicity that would develop Guinea and help to develop Guinea. You must think about Guinea as one people. If you start to think about ethnicities and this and that ethnic, we will not go forward. Guinea is innocent, and Guinea has that advantage of being able to move forward. Please let it move forward. The opposition can demonstrate. But if there's breaking, if there's violence, if there's looting, they will be held responsible. This is what's happening in Conakry. There's no chaos. We will not break people's backs, and we will not break cars. We will not cause chaos. The state will apply the law. Whoever goes against the law will pay the rules. I forbid every demonstration because there was going to be massacres, there was going to be looting. I prevented that from happening. In other countries, you couldn't even see when there is an assassination attempt. You couldn't even see who committed this attempt. Justice is going to take care of that in Guinea. We know who's doing everything because everything is out in the open. You will see. I did not allow them to arrest Bauri. I said that we needed to have an international arrest warrant for him, but he ran out and he ran away, and I said that we have to let justice take its course. If he ran away from the country, that's not a bad thing. But you are young. I'm just saying, you are young. Do not let yourself be intoxicated. You need to be informed. I can accuse somebody of killing his father, but maybe his father died a long time ago and he didn't kill him. You have gray matter. You have your brain. You're capable of analyzing and criticize what's going on. But if you take everything they gave you and you just swallow it like cheese without even thinking about it, this is not going to lead anywhere. You are students and you're not yet intellectuals as long as you're not capable to analyze critically what you hear before you believe it.
I would like, on behalf of Columbia University, the World Leaders Forum, the Earth Institute, and the Institute of African Studies, to thank President Conde for a powerful introduction a very frank engagement with the question, sometimes very sharp question, of our students. Also, I would like to thank really the students, the audience, for having made this conversation very rich. And on a personal note, I would like to say two things. The first one is related to President Conde's first words when he said that he will not speak emotionally. And you have seen it. Probably he was not emotional because, but he was very passionate. And it reminded me the first time I met him. I was finishing high school in France, and he was still the leader of the Fédération des étudiants d'Afrique Noire. And one thing, the second thing, which is interesting, at the end of his talk, answering one of the questions, he mentioned one European philosopher, and his very interesting question about, challenges we are facing and questions we are asking ourselves. He did not mention the name of the philosopher. I will not mention it, but it's part of the thing I shared with him when I was very young. Again, thank you very much.